Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Let's get in some front page news. Start off with some quick sports. The Knicks beat the Heat last night, 111-105. The Lakers beat the Warriors 117-112.
I fell asleep for that game. Them West Coast games be on too late. Them East Coast games end a little too late for me, too, because I be liking to be in bed by 8:30, 9 o'clock. But them West Coast games starting at 10:30 is ridiculous.
That's why I'm tired. I ain't lead a game. I ain't lead a guard until like 10:30 or 10:45. And by the time you get your car and get out, I didn't get home till 11:30, 12 o'clock.
But we got to see the game, too.
Yeah.
You know, and we got to get off work,
Yeah.
And we got to see the game. So, sometimes, we got to watch the game, so you got to watch the game.
Yeah, you got to stay up, huh?
Yeah, you got to stay up.
We got to congratulate Joel Embiid as well. He won his first MVP, so congratulations to him. And then some foul news. The Grizzlies says, we won't re-sign Dylan Brooks under any circumstances. Regardless, they're not going to re-sign him, which I think is foul. I think, he's a good player,
Yeah, he cool.
He's a good player.
He cool.
He's a good player.
If he's a good player, then I think we should go with the good player.
He talks too much ish, though, so.
Who does it these days?
He goes a little extra. Now, Teslin Figaro. Good morning, Tez.
Good morning, DJ Envy, Charlamagne the God, and the Queen, the legend, Kim. How are you?
I'm good. Good to see you. And hear
Good
you.
to see you.
Now, what's going on with Biden? He's sending troops to the southern border. Does that mean war?
War.
Oh, don't.
Read that. Give me the headline. 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 Give me the headline.
They don't say
That is
no
not what
war.
they nothing about
They
no
don't
damn
say
war.
no
I'm
war,
asking.
no,
I'm just
that's
asking.
how you
No,
start
this is
stuff.
exactly. Biden administration is sending 1,500 troops to the southern border for support roles ahead of expected migrant surge.
The war,
Thank you,
word
Charlamagne.
war ain't nowhere.
What is? Nothing but war.
I heard 1,500 troops. I'm just asking. Let's go. Let's go.
Well, I hope it's not a war, and that's a great point that you bring up, actually, DJ Envy, because they said that it will be for self-defense and not law enforcement. So hopefully nobody will get hurt. But it's something called Title 42, and just to remind everybody, during Corona, Title 42 was used to override immigration law, which allowed people to ask for asylum when they were entering illegally. So when Corona was going on, they used this Title 42 in order to keep, folks out, to keep people from getting sick. And so now that's expiring, and there'll be an influx of migrants that are coming through. President Biden is sending, like we said, he's sending troops up there to make sure that stuff, goes well. But it's so interesting because Texas Governor Abbott told Chicago Mayor Lightfoot that he will be busing them right back, busing them to Chicago. And I remember, Charlamagne, we talked about that early on when all the Republican governors were sending folks, to their cities, including New York. They said that, if you guys are so welcoming and you are all about, bringing everybody over, then, hey, we're going to bust them to you. So you're going to see a lot of that happening as well within the coming weeks. And Republicans really will be running off of this. I can hear, Donald Trump now saying, there's a crisis at the border. I can just see him pushing this issue and saying it's going to be a big crisis. So kind of look for that, in the next coming weeks as well.
So question, Taz, why did they make border control so political? Like, both sides know that border control is needed, but one gets demonized when they try to do things at the border. So why, though? Why did they make it a political issue?
Well, everything, I guess, is a political issue, and you're absolutely right, because Donald Trump actually sent 3,000 active duty troops as well to the southern border, just like Biden is doing, and they're doing the exact same thing. So there's some hypocrisy, that's happening on both sides of the aisle, which, of course, one side is always going to say they're doing it for the right reason, and the other side is not. So this is just an issue to be able to, get folks to decide if they're on the Republican side or the Democrat side that's more welcoming to migrants. And they're just going to keep using them. I always try to push those, Charlamagne. We talked about this before. When we saw the Haitian, remember when the Haitian migrants came over, they weren't treated, like they should have been with decency, and they kind of got swept.
Not even close.
Yep, and they got swept.
Go ahead. I'm just saying it's just two different things. When the Haitians come over, they don't even give them a chance. It's a problem. So I think you're right about that, though. They're just trying to show it is all about politics. Look what I'm doing. Look what I'm doing. But I got a question. What happened to the children? Where are the children? Did the children ever get reunited back?
Oh, with their parents? Or you talking about the children that they locked in cages at the border?
Yes. It's like that happened, and then we never heard about it again.
I mean, shoot, the children are still there. I mean, a lot of the children, it's children still coming through those borders. Like, I think when we say these, terms like people coming through the border, like those people include kids.
Yeah, yeah, and there's a lot of people. So I don't have a problem with him sending troops down, but as long as it's for the good.
So the troops are not going to be doing any law enforcement, they're saying, right? No law
Well,
enforcement.
they say that. They say that, but what if that's all going to depend, on what happens,
Right.
So, I mean, law enforcement is there for a reason, and hopefully it is just to monitor, but we don't know what's going to come, because you got to think about thousands of people they're going to be trying, to get over. And so it's a mess. There's not a lot of order that they have in place. I think they're coming up with some type of app for people to ask for asylum, like on the spot. So it's not organized. It's not prepared. They're not prepared for this. And so this is why you're going to hear, well, Republicans are already saying it now, that there's going to be a crisis at the border, and it's just going to be a mess. And so we're just going to have to look to see, how that plays out.
Yeah, they were saying that they have 7,000 daily encounters on the U.S. southern border, and they say that number is expected to rise in the next couple of weeks. So it's going to be a
some will be
lot of
coming
activity.
over. Yeah, some will be coming over legally and illegally. And so what is that process? How are you going to monitor that? How are you going to know who should be here and not should be here? And we'll talk about that later in another story, with the guy that killed those children. He actually was deported several times.
Wow.
And this is one of the things that they're going to be talking about. How do you keep folks out that should not be here? So definitely a political issue.
I know a lot of people who care about border control, especially here in New York City. Folks be telling me that they have MS-13 in their neighborhoods now, and they tearing the neighborhoods up. And I mean, literally, people coming up to me saying, "You have to talk about border control. You have to talk about border control. This MS-13 is tearing our neighborhood up." I'm like, damn.
And what side are the people on? Are they for this or against this? That's what I always. Some of my friends are like, I want border control. I don't want border control. So it's a.
I think they're for border control.
Oh yeah, the people talking to me
for
about
border control.
MS-13 being in their neighborhoods, they absolutely
for
want
the border control.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, that is front page news. Tez, we'll see you in a couple minutes.
Absolutely.
All right. Get it off your chest. 800-585-1051. If you need to vent, phone lines are wide open again. 800-585-1051. Call us up right now. It's The Breakfast Club. Good morning. Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Charlamagne the Guy. We are The Breakfast Club. We got our guest co-host, Kim Whitley, here. And let's get in some front page news. First, let's start off with some quick sports. The Knicks beat the Heat 111-105. Congratulations to the Knicks. The Lakers beat the Warriors 117-112. And congratulations to Joel Embiid from the 76ers. He won his first MVP. So congratulations to Joel Embiid. Now, Teslin, good morning.
Good morning, Charlamagne, DJ Envy, and the Queen, Kim Whitley in the building, the legend.
I love you.
Now now let's get right into it. They caught the Texas suspect in custody after a couple of days of a manhunt, right?
Yeah, this was a huge manhunt. Someone reported him on an anonymous tip. His name was Francisco Oropeza. We covered this story earlier this week in the front page news. And so someone called him with a tip. They followed his wife to a home, and they don't know yet if the wife or the family members were a part of helping hide him, but they did find him there in a closet, hiding under some laundry. And like I said, it was a huge manhunt. They used more than 250 law enforcement officers. There was an $80,000 reward. His immigration status was unknown at the time, but like I pointed out last hour, he was deported on several occasions. Actually, 4 times since 2009. So this was somebody that should not have been, I guess, in the country in the first place. And as a result, unfortunately, he's killed, those children as young as 8 years old who actually went. Remember, we talked about the story earlier this week. They asked for the gun, asked him to stop shooting the gun so the baby would stop crying. And as a result, he shot those individuals and killed them. And so now he was taken to jail without incident, and he is held on a $5 million bond.
And you know what I find so cowardly about what he did? They found him hiding in a closet under a bunch of laundry. You ain't had no smoke for the police. It's easy to go run up in that family's house and kill that family and kill, children, but you ain't got no smoke for the police. When it comes to the police, you tucking your tail, hiding in the closet.
Well, not only that, how did they give him a $5 million bond? How did they give him a bond at all?
At all, no, absolutely. This is a person they should have just look. You know me, shoot him on sight. Ain't no trial. We know you did it. And who was hiding him? Who were the people? Whose laundry room was he in? I was like, here, let me put these clothes on top of you. You just killed all these people.
They said that was his wife, right? His wife was hiding him.
Well, they follow his wife to the house. It doesn't really say if it was her house or family members. It just says family members' house. So we're not sure about that yet. And they're not sure if they actually participated in it, because I don't want to make assumptions, but, he could have forced them to hide him. We don't know yet. So they're trying to figure out, if those folks should be charged, with the crime as well.
Arrest everybody until we find out. Arrest them all. That was, these people are minding their own business. You don't know who you living next door.
That's right.
Very cowardly.
Yeah, this is crazy.
And you don't know how to say, that was the same week that we had all the driveway shootings.
Yep.
People are losing their mind. I'm sorry to hear this.
Yeah. Now, what's going on with Elon Musk?
So yeah, Twitter has been a hot mess ever since Elon Musk took over. Remember, he paid $44 billion, and now the company's only worth $20 billion. At first, he said, I'm going to give everybody a blue check if you want to pay $8. Then he said, I'm going to take away everybody's blue check. Then he gave it back. He's just been going back and forth, trying to generate revenue on Twitter, and it just simply has not been working. So a lot of companies like NPR said, I'm no longer going to use Twitter because it is not, it doesn't have the credibility that it once had. People don't know if you're getting a message from NPR or someone that just made it up. So since they left, Elon Musk is basically saying, well, I'll just take away your handle, just to simplify it. And so now NPR actually put out the story that said, they're trying to take away our handle. So this kind of ties into what we've been talking about with AI. That's going to be another place, that AI can use handles and say that, somebody said something that they did not. And Elon Musk has basically just made, Twitter a dumpster place, to be honest with you. And so you're going to see more companies leaving, more companies getting their handles taken, giving it away to a random person. And so, it's just going to be another place that's going to create a lot of chaos.
That's speaking of the AI, the writers went on strike yesterday. One of the things that the studios rejected was a negotiation point about not letting ChatGPT write scripts. So now it may not be a good time for the writers to be on strike, because boy, as soon as the ChatGPT start writing scripts,
it's over.
That's
over.
Right.
Yeah,
that's right.
That would be. They already have that program. I can go on right now and just put it in a story that I want to write, and the whole script will come out. Yeah, that's already exists.
I know kids are doing it for their papers. Like they when they're in college, they have, and they be like, write a paper on so and so and so and so from a black person's view, and boop,
it spits it right out.
This next generation gonna be so stupid.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like you're exercising your brain power when you're writing these essays and you're doing this research on your own. If you're letting the computer do it all for you, you're just making yourself an idiot.
Yep.
Oh, that's
I'm glad you brought up the writer strike, though, because I know you guys covered that on yesterday. But how has that affected you, Kim? Because last night a lot of the shows, they said they're stopping, and so how's that working for you?
Well, it's going to be bad. You see that the talk has gone dark, and I do a lot of talk shows. I know it was probably going on hiatus soon, but had to leave early, and it's going to be difficult. The last writer strike ruined Los Angeles.
Yeah.
I mean, it absolutely, because people don't understand the whole town. You have to have material in order to perform. So the writers, they affect everyone. Even all of the mom and pop stores around, the restaurants go down, things shut off, photographers. Everything in Los Angeles is affected because everyone that lives in, not everyone, but the majority of people that live in Los Angeles for the industry.
It's a show business, right?
It's an entertainment capital. And once the writers go down, it was bad. I talked to a writer friend of mine last night, Buddy Lewis, and he was like, it's going to be bad. He said, but we have to stand our ground in order to get these streaming networks to pay us our worth. That's the big fight.
Right.
Because remember, Netflix, everything came out so fast. There was no contract. Before we used to get residuals on everything, so we would live off of that for a while. But now you can I can go on HBO Max. I have a show on there, and they pay me, and I'm like, "Ooh, got a nice check." But before you get a nice check, and then for 5 years, 10 years, you're still getting a little check.
Right.
Now that's it.
There's going to be a lot of reruns on these shows now, on these networks, huh?
Oh, a lot. And then they'll sell it. So they'll go from ABC to Hulu to Paramount. Then they share it. These writers get nothing. And the writers really, a lot of them don't get as much as, of course, the actors get. Yeah. So they get their, their check. Then that's it. Right. So if it goes to, if you sell it to the next place, they should get a check.
So these networks going to need more unscripted content.
Right.
So they're going to need more shows like The Breakfast Club on BET.
Or BET.
And that is going to happen. And right now, they're probably going to run, The Breakfast Club a lot. They're going to ask you for more content because they're going to have to. And another thing that is happening that you all might not know, and you might, a lot of these big corporations, Paramount and Netflix, are trying to get out of their huge contracts. They got these contracts with these huge actors and producers. Well, after 90 days, null and void. They cancel. So they have these heavy, heavy contracts, millions and millions. So once they let them go, they're clean. So that's the biggest thing that they're fighting for. They're like, we're going to let it go.
All right.
Yeah. And as just one point, I know one of the things the writers are asking for is AI protection to make sure that, they're putting together something that doesn't allow AI to come in and, take over those writers' job. And just as a point, it will trickle down. And as we know, California has one of the highest, and particularly LA, one of the highest homeless rates in the country. So when you see it trickle down to those mom and pops and all of those things, how are they going to be able to pay rent and live? So just understand it is a huge effect. Thank you for bringing that up, Kim.
And then you brought that up. Poor Karen Bass. She's just now trying to clean the streets.
Oh, yeah.
Now the writer's strike will be more. I hope. Oh, I didn't think about that. You're right. It's going to trickle down. It did last time. It really affected everyone.
All right. Well, that is front page news. Thank you, Tez.
Absolutely.
And make sure you subscribe to the Tezlin Figaro's podcast, the Straight Shot No Chaser podcast on the Black Effect iHeartRadio podcast network.
All right. Now, when we come back, let's open up the phone lines. 800-585-1051. We were talking Ebony K. Williams yesterday, and now she doubled down. So this is what she said.
I only saw a handful that even considered the possibility of a bus owner being a more aspirational position. Now, I suspect that some of y'all are the same men that were bringing home C's and D's on your report cards, only to then be coddled by parents that said, well, that's okay, as long as you're doing your best. Well, listen, I love and believe in the excellence of black men. So no, my dear, C's and D's or any other form of mediocrity is not okay. But could it be that black America has been sold a narrative of average, regular, and typical being good enough for us? Well, see, that's called white supremacy. No, average is not and will never be good enough for me. And the gag is, I don't think it's good enough for you either.
So the question is, when we come back, does this insult the working class people? Let's talk about it when we come back. Don't move. 800-585-1051. It's The Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Wake that ass up early in the morning. The Breakfast Club.